Welcome everybody. I missed you. I missed you a lot. I apologize for the lull in videos. We moved from a rented property to a home that is probably, I don't know, 1680s, something like that. And nothing has been done to it since then. So it's basically a building site that needs everything. Doors, walls, floors, windows, everything. There's not one square inch of this house that doesn't need something to be fixed. But anyway, so I have had no studio, no power, none of that stuff. So we're going to move forward today in section 6 in the key to Theosophy. We're going to wrap up section 6 with the Greek teachings. So I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you. It is through the application of these teachings that the world will change. It can change. You're not here by accident. If you are here on the Living Theosophy channel, good. It isn't about me. I'm just a speaker. I'm just a student. I'm a companion on the path. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay. These teachings are ancient. They are archaic. You cannot teach them. Well, no, let's see. Yeah, you can't teach them to somebody. You can't give them to somebody, but they can be earned and they can't be purchased, but they can be kind of absorbed, and you can become them by your own application. When they say that the kingdom of heaven is within you, it means in your midst. Midst means middle. Okay. You are the temple. Nature, that's church. You're the church. Nature and you are the same. So anyway, there's so much to go through today. Before I babble on, I think it's important that we get through this before the builders come back, because I wanted a quiet time to be able to talk without drilling and nailing. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link over here. Please subscribe, hit the notification button. We go live. We do live Light on the Path book studies. I hope to do those more frequently. We're going to go into Voice of the Silence. And we are doing what's called the Key to Theosophy, written down about 130 years ago. If you're looking to, it's ancient though. Okay, so even though it was written down, remember it comes through. It's like a typewriter. A lot of people pay attention to, it'd be like if you were on your computer and you only paid attention to the computer rather than what was coming up on the screen. These things came through. They come through the computer. It's not about those who wrote them down. Those guys, HPB, all of them, they were dedicated students of Theosophy too, okay? So these teachings have been written down through the millennia, through Plato, Pythagoras, Paracelsus, alchemy, the Jewish mysticism, all of it. They've been writing it down forever. It doesn't belong solely to anyone, okay? It belongs to everybody. There's not one person that it doesn't belong to, and there's not one person that it's not a part of, or you're not a part of. So anyway, it doesn't have to be this channel, but if you're interested in Theosophy, good. Theos meaning gods, Sophia meaning wisdom, Theos, Sophia. It is ancient and it is also the future. Okay, so we have to pay attention to our climate change. There's a lot of attention being focused on how we have been a plague upon this planet, and we are a plague on this planet. We are living in what is called, in the Theosophical teachings, we are in a place called Earth, which is also known as Mialba, which is any man-inhabited planet is hell. So on that note, it's true, and we must overcome ourselves. It's not going to come from going to a building. It's not going to come by putting your money in a little hole and hoping that, you know, your donation to this whatever society or church is going to help you. It's going to come through action on your part and application on your part. So you become these teachings, you become compassion, you become love, you become empathy, you become all of those things. Let's get started before I babble on too long. Let's go. Okay, the Greek teachings, written in question and answer form, remember. Inquirer, we have magnificent Greek, Latin, Sanskrit, and Hebrew scholars. How is it that we find nothing in their translations that would afford us a clue to what you say? Theosophist, because your translators, their great learning notwithstanding, have made of the philosophers, the Greeks especially, MISTY instead of mystic writers. Take as an instance Plutarch, and read what he says of the principles of man. That which he describes was accepted literally and attributed to metaphysical superstition and ignorance. Let me give you an illustration in point. Man, says Plutarch, is compound, and they are mistaken who think him to be compounded of two parts only, for they imagine that the understanding brain intellect, is a part of the soul, the upper triad, but they err in this no less than those who make the soul to be a part of the body, i.e. those who make of the triad part of the corruptible lower mortal quaternary. For the understanding nous as far exceeds the soul is better and diviner than the body. Now this composition of the soul in Greek here, psyche, with the understanding nous, makes reason, and with the body, or thumos, the animal soul, passion, of which the one is the beginning or principle of pleasure and pain, and the other of virtue and vice. Of these three parts conjoined and compacted together, the earth has given the body, the moon, the soul, and the sun, the understanding to the generation of man. Now this last sentence is purely allegorical and will be comprehended only by those who are versed in the esoteric science of correspondences and know which planet is related to every principle. Plutarch divides the latter into three groups and makes of the body a compound of physical frame, astral shadow, and breath, or the triple lower part, from which earth was taken and to earth returns. Of the middle principle and the instinctual soul, the second part, derived from and through and ever influenced by the moon. And there's a footnote here. The Kabbalists, who know the relation of Jehovah, the life and children giver, to the moon, and the influence of the latter on generation, will again see the point, as much as some astrologers will. And only of the higher part of the spiritual soul, with the atmic and monastic elements, in it does he make a direct emanation of the sun, who stands here for Agathon, the supreme deity. This is proven by what he says further as follows. Now of the deaths we die, the one makes man two of three, and the other one out of two. The former is in the region and jurisdiction of Demeter, who is the goddess. She's the Greek goddess of agriculture, the harvest, fertility, and the mother of Persephone. Whence the name given to the mysteries, teleon, resembled that given to death, which is teleuton. The Athenians also heretofore called the deceased sacred to Demeter. As for the other, death, it is in the moon, or the region of Persephone. Here you have our doctrine, which shows man a septenary, that means 7, during life, a quintile just after death in Kamaloka, and a threefold ego, spirit soul, and consciousness in Devachan. This separation first in the meadows of Hades, as Plutarch calls Kamaloka, then in Devachan, was part and parcel of the performances during the sacred mysteries, when the candidates for initiation enacted the whole drama of death and the resurrection as a glorified spirit, by which name we mean consciousness. This is what Plutarch means when he says, and as with the one the terrestrial, so with the other celestial, Hermes doth dwell. This suddenly and with violence plucks the soul from the body. But Persephone mildly and in a long time disjoins the understanding from the soul. As a footnote here, another footnote, Prosperina or Persephone stands here for the post-mortem karma. Again, Persephone stands for post-mortem karma, okay? Which is said to regulate the separation of the lower from the higher principles, the soul as nefesh, the breath of animal life, which remains for a time in Kamaloka, from the higher compound ego, which goes into the state of Devachan, or bliss. For this reason, she is called monogenes, which means unique, only begotten, or rather begetting one alone. For the better part of man becomes alone when it is separated by her. Now both the one and the other happens thus according to nature. It is ordained by fate, fatum, or karma, that every soul, whether with or without understanding mind, when gone out of the body, should wander for a time, though not all for the same, in the region lying between earth and moon, which is Kamaloka. Footnote again here. Until the separation of the higher spiritual principle takes place from the lower ones, which remain in the Kama, desire loka, until disintegrated. For those that have been unjust and dissolute suffer the punishment due to their offenses, but the good and virtuous are there detained till they are purified, and have, by expiation, purged out of them all of the infections that they have contracted from the contagion of the body. as if from foul health, living in the mildest part of the air, called the meadows of Hades, where they must remain for a certain prefixed and appointed time. And then, as if they were returning from a wandering pilgrimage or a long exile into their country, they have a taste of joy, such as they principally receive who are initiated into sacred mysteries, mixed with trouble, admiration, and each one's proper and peculiar hope. This is nirvanic bliss, and no theosophist could describe in plainer, though esoteric language, the mental joys of Devachan, where every man has his paradise around him, erected by his consciousness. But you must be aware of the general error into which too many of even our theosophists fall. Do not imagine that because man is called septenary, then quintuple, and a triad, that he is a compound of 7, 5, or 3 entities, or, as well expressed by a theosophical writer, of skins to be peeled off like the skins of an onion. The principles, as already said, save the body, the life, and the astral eidolon, which means manifestation, all of which disperse at death, are simply aspects and states of consciousness. There is but one real man enduring through the cycle of life and immortal essence, if not in form, and this is Manas, the mind man, or the embodied consciousness. The objection made by materialists who deny the possibility of mind and consciousness acting without matter is worthless in our case. We do not deny the soundness of their argument, but we simply ask our opponents, are you acquainted with all the states of matter, you who hitherto knew but of 3? And how do you know whether that which we refer to as absolute consciousness or deity, forever invisible and unknowable, be not that which, though it eludes forever our human finite conception, is still universal spirit matter, or matter spirit in its absolute infinitude? It is then one of the lowest and in its manvantaric manifestations, fractioned aspects of this spirit matter, which is the conscious ego that creates its own paradise. A fool's paradise it may be, still a state of bliss. Inquirer. But what is Devachan? Theosophist. The land of gods. Literally, a condition, a state of mental bliss. Philosophically, a mental condition analogous to, but far more vivid and real than the most vivid dream. It is the state after death of most mortals. There you go. The teleprompter is still up. We're still learning. Thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate you. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please do. I believe you can see little purple picture over this way. Click that. It's a very special picture. There's a story behind that I'll have to tell you one day. Please click that. Please subscribe. If you'd like to support the channel, you can. The work that's done here is all done. It is a labor of love. These teachings should always be free. So I voice these, put them up, put them out so that people can have access to them, because the world is now a digital one. And I believe there's nothing more important to do. It is in becoming these teachings. It is by you applying these teachings, not by studying them and knowing them and memorizing them and pontificating them. It is by you becoming them. Listen to what they are saying to you. Read the texts on your own. Spend time with them out in nature. If you can, be by the trees. Be outside if you can. Be in church. That's church. Air, earth, water, fire. Be outside and listen to these teachings. I listen to them. You can take any PDF and you can turn it into a Kindle book. You send it to yourself in your Kindle email, and then you just get your phone to read it back to you. That's what I do. And I study The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. Oh my God. I study the key to Theosophy. I study and listen to the teachings of the Kabbalists and even the Freemasons. I mean, all of them. The most important thing is to look for the commonalities. Do we not say that? The commonalities in all the world's religions. And remember that this is where it takes place. It's not outside of you. You don't need to pray anywhere else, okay? Your thoughts are prayer. Thoughts are real things. Thoughts are living entities. It is energy. What you think about is actually the rudder for your life and future beings. But we'll get to that at another time. Thoughts are very important to keep under control. You can control your thoughts. You can control your actions. You can control your reactions. You can control your environment sometimes. That's about it. The rest of the time, you got to be like water. Be like water and go with the flow and learn, evolve, and become, because this world is a place of great suffering, and it is our responsibility, once we recognize that, to hear the cry of humanity and get to work becoming and overcoming ourselves, becoming these teachings, overcome our greed, our lust, our selfishness, our ignorance, our fear, our gluttony. We must overcome ourselves and become love, compassion, empathy, understanding, all unconditional. Like the teachings in the new, they're relatively new. Over the last 50 years, the near-death experiences, they come back and they tell you about the connectedness. They tell you that they can see and understand the purpose, that this is just one page in one book, in one big library that is an ever-expanding library. This life is but a day. It's a page. It's a page. That's it. You got way more coming. And you are in eternity now as much as you will ever be. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience, and know that I love you. I do love you. That love you, I'm going to dedicate a special I love you to one of our viewers who is just tender-hearted, beautiful, a pure Theosophist. He came in as a Theosophist. His name is Lyndon. And Lyndon, I love you. I do. So all of you, I love you, and I'm grateful for you. Thank you. I try to answer each comment. I apologize if I've missed something. Send me another message. You can always contact me. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.